Hello and welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start flipping and wholesaling houses in New York, or if you're already doing it, how to grow your business. I am very close to the camera because I am in an airport. I'm supposed to have a mask on, but I am hiding somewhere. So, let me sit down. Okay. So the question is, how long do house negotiations take? That's an interesting question, and of course the answer is it depends, right? Now, in today's market, right, we're in 2021, if you price your property right, you should get offers right away. Now, negotiations can take as long as it takes between two parties. That's really up to both parties. So we just listed two properties for sale a few days ago, and we have multiple offers for both, usually above asking. One of the key factors, well, negotiations is a difficult word because a lot of things. There could be price negotiations, there could be negotiations over other things too. But let's assume we're talking about first we're going to go through price negotiation. So you're going to get you're hopefully going to get multiple offers if you're priced right. If you're not getting offers, it's always because of your price. Always. It's not because of anything else, right? People think, oh, my house is this. In today's market, there's such a shortage of supply. Is someone sticking on my head? Okay. Such a shortage of supply that if you price it right, you will get offers right away. You have to negotiate over those offers. Now, a lot of the offers are different, and you're negotiating over price, but you're also negotiating over terms and times and a lot of other things. So, for example, a buyer that comes in, let's say with an FHA loan where they're putting 3.5% down, can be not as good as a buyer that's putting, let's say, 50% down, half of the money down. A buyer that says they want to close, in 45 days, can be better than a buyer that says I can't close for 3 months because I'm waiting for something else to happen. Also, something to look out for is a buyer that's contingent on a sale of another property. So while that is a common occurrence, you've got to understand that if you accept as a seller an offer that's contingent upon the sale of another property, it's really out of your control, right? Anything can go happen to that transaction and screw up your transaction, and you have a problem. And you need to make sure that your attorney, just to explain how this works, right? So let me go through the timeline, right? I haven't really gone through that. You have a property for sale. You're going to receive offers. You're going to accept an offer. Once an offer is accepted, what usually happens is an inspection is done before the contract, right? This is different than New York is different than every other state. The inspection gets done before the contract, and if there's any repairs they want made, they'll put that into the contract in an addendum. You can agree to those repairs or not, right? They may say, hey, the inspector said we need a new roof, and you could say, I'm not putting in a new roof. And they can say, we're not buying the house, or they can say, okay. Or they might say, hey, can you give us some kind of credit for it, some kind of monetary credit for it, if you're not going to repair the roof. Those are the negotiations that take place before you go to contract. Then when you go to contract, it's very important you use a good attorney who will make sure that there are timelines on there that protect you as a seller. Because if you, as we said before, if the buyer is contingent on something else, let's say the sale of another property, you need to be able to get out of that contract at some point if the sale of his property doesn't go through. You don't want to be stuck to whatever the buyer wants. In New York, as crazy as it sounds, the buyer is really powerful, and a seller cannot change their mind and say, I don't want to sell to you if the buyer wants to close. If that happens, the buyer can put a list pendants on the property, which is like a foreclosure, and can sue you for specific performance for the entire sale price. So you need to close, and he pretty much has you. I'm sorry, I'm getting a lot of text. Has you by the balls if you have not specifically put in timelines in the contract. So you need to do that. I've seen a lot of bad contracts. People have called me and said, hey, I'm in contract with this buyer. He's dragging me along for 9 months. I can't get out. I look at the contract. I go, yeah, it's contingent on something, and there's no end period for that contingency. That's not good. So you need to put in contingency time periods for the contingencies. Right? I have no problem if you want to sell to a buyer who says, listen, I'm about to sell my house. But understand things happen that are out of that buyer's control, and you need to protect yourself. So say, if you sell it within 90 days, that's fine. But after 90 days, we can get out of the contract, something like that. But negotiations happen about a lot of things, right? Negotiations, sometimes the buyer will say, hey, we want you to leave the furniture in the dining room. And these are things that you negotiate. It's up to you to say yes or to say no. It's completely in your control what you say to that. So how long the negotiations can take, they could take a long time, but it really is dependent on your attorney as a seller and the buyer's attorney. Attorneys can drag things on. Attorneys collect in New York exorbitant fees for legal fees, right? They take sometimes $3,000. And they want to earn their money, even though very often they're doing very little. They're going to get into nitty-gritty on negotiations, sometimes stupid things, right? I've seen guys argue over, esoteric situations where almost never going to happen, and arguing whether the maximum that one side will pay is $500 or $1,000. It's something that'll almost never happen. It's something that's not really important, right? You're making a transaction for $600,000, and they're arguing over whether one's going to be liable for worst case scenario $500 or $1,000. I've seen them go back and forth for 2 weeks for that. So how long can it take? Really, question how long. If things go quickly, you can get into contract in a few days. That's the truth. More typical is that it'll take 2 to 3 weeks to get into contract. When I speak to people who want to list their houses, I tell them, listen, this is going to be a 3 to 4 month process. It's going to take us a month to find a buyer and get them into contract, right? Because we don't get offers the first minute we show it. You want to take offers for a week or two, and then it's going to take a week or two, or sometimes 3 weeks to get into contracts. It takes a month usually to get into contract, and then most buyers, it's going to take them 2 to 3 months to get a loan. So we're talking about, usually when you list a property for sale, it's 3 to 4 months, right? I've seen processes go quicker, and I've seen them go slower, but typical, if you want to know how long it's take from the day you list your house to the day you sell it, assuming you price it right, 3 to 4 months. That is how long it takes. Now, negotiations can take longer, right? I've seen negotiations take 3 to 4 months before somebody went into contract. I've seen it many times. Buyer gets cold feet. Buyer says, I want an adjustment. The seller says, stick it where the sun don't shine. Buyer says, I don't know, maybe we should stay, maybe we shouldn't. Seller says, I'm going to take another offer. These things happen all the time. The negotiations take as long as you want. It's really depending on really 4 parties: the buyer, the seller, the buyer's attorney, and the seller's attorney, right? In other states, the real estate transactions take place between a buyer and a seller. In New York, they don't. They take place between a seller's attorney and a buyer's attorney. The seller's attorney writes up the contract, sends it to the buyer's attorney, and then there are negotiations back and forth. Very typical for that to take 3, 4 weeks, sometimes more. Really, where all parties are agreed. Lawyers are just going back and forth. Lawyers are talking about something stupid, arguing over dumb things. As I said, lawyers want to earn their fees. So sometimes they'll get into nitty-gritty, little details, stupid details. That happens very often. So in other states, they seem to go much quicker, right? Much, much quicker. New York is a much, much slower state for all real estate transactions. So it's important to understand that it's very rare if you list a house for you to get into contract in much sooner than a month. So if you consider that whole time, I guess you could say it takes about a month. But usually the negotiations aren't taking that much of time, not that long. But I can tell you, I have a lot of properties right now where the sellers have agreed to sell to me, but we're still not in contract because the lawyers are talking to each other. It happens. So how long negotiations take? It's really up to 4 people, right? The buyer, seller, the buyer's attorney, seller's attorney. I hope this was helpful. I'm sitting in an airport as though my flight got canceled and I just got rebooked. If you're interested in different ways I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're interested in a course that teaches how to do what I do, go to howtoflipnewyorkcourse.com. If you are interested in coaching from me, go to coaching.howtoflipnewyork.com. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you are watching on any platform, please click the thumbs up. Thumbs up really helps me. A lot of likes have gotten more people to see my videos. It helps my SEO, my search engine optimization. So I want to thank you all for all the likes lately and all the views. I appreciate it. And keep the comments coming. So comments really help me. I go live 5 times a week. Sometimes I don't have a clue as to what I'm going to talk about. And the comments give me topics. Now, if it's there are no bad comments. So simple comments, I'm just going to reply with an answer. If it's a topic that I've covered in depth multiple times or even once, I'll send you a link to a video so you can just see it. And if it's something that I haven't covered in a while, or something I've never covered, I will do a new video on it. So I want to thank you all again for watching. I really appreciate it, and have a great day.